Welcome to another pop culture crash course. Today we're covering the life of bounty hunter Boba Fett. Boba Fett debuted as an unnamed bounty hunter in The Empire Strikes Back. He is one of 6 bounty hunters assembled by Darth Vader, who promises a reward to whomever captures the crew of the Millennium Falcon. Fett tracks the starship to Bespin, where Vader captures its passengers and tortures its captain Han Solo. Aiming to collect the bounty Jabba the Hutt has placed on Solo, Fett questions Vader regarding the carbon freeze which Vader intends to use on his true target, Luke Skywalker.
What if he doesn't survive? He's worth a lot to me.
Vader promises that the Empire will compensate Fett if Solo dies, but the smuggler survives and Vader turns him over to Fett, who leaves to deliver him to Jabba in his ship, the Slave One. Return of the Jedi features Boba Fett at Jabba's palace on Tatooine, where Han Solo's friends are captured trying to rescue him. Later, Fett travels on Jabba's sail barge to witness the prisoner's execution at the Great Pit of Carkoon, home of the carnivorous creature known as the Sarlacc. When the prisoners revolt and fight back, Fett briefly engages in combat with Luke Skywalker. Later, Chewbacca warns a visually impaired Han Solo that Fett is near. Solo inadvertently makes contact with Fett's rocket pack, setting it off and sending the bounty hunter hurtling into the mouth of the Sarlacc. Fett briefly appears in a reintroduced cutscene set outside the Millennium Falcon while Jabba confronts Han Solo. The character had yet to be created during the filming of the scene and was thus superimposed onto the image. A preteen Boba Fett appears in the 2002 prequel film Star Wars Attack of the Clones, where it's revealed that he is an unaltered clone of Jango, the bounty hunter whose genetic template was used to create the Republic's clone army.
No! Boba, get on board!
Boba helps Jango escape from Obi-Wan Kenobi and accompanies him to Geonosis, where he witnesses Jango's death by beheading at the hands of Jedi Master Mace Windu. He is last witnessed mourning over his father's helmet, which he places in front of his head, foreshadowing his future as a bounty hunter. Fett's next appearance was in the animated series Clone Wars. In the story arc, Boba infiltrates Mace Windu's flagship in the guise of a clone trooper cadet, hoping to exact revenge against the Jedi for killing his father. After a failed attempt to bomb Windu in his quarters, he sabotages the ship's engines, causing it to crash on a nearby planet. He and his bounty hunter accomplices then take hostages from the ship's crew, who they then try to use as bait for the Jedi Master. Throughout the ordeal, Fett hesitates to commit violence against his fellow clones, which comes to a head when his mentor Aurra Sing executes Mace Windu's clone trooper second in command.
Next time I tell you to pull the trigger, you do it!
Plo Koon and Ahsoka Tano eventually track Fett and his compatriots to pirate Hondo's base. Fett is ultimately captured by the Jedi and sentenced to prison on Coruscant. Although he expresses regret for the collateral damage he has caused, he vows to never forgive Windu. Later in the series, Fett escapes from prison and goes on to form his own bounty hunter syndicate, Krait's Claw, which includes Bossk and Dengar. Set 5 years after Return of the Jedi, Boba Fett's presence in The Mandalorian was first hinted at in the Season 1 episode The Gunslinger, which ends with a mysterious figure wearing boots and a cape approaching the body of Fennec Shand. The second season's premiere would confirm the character's survival after his fall into the Sarlacc and retcon his apparent death.
What brings you here, stranger?
It's explained that Fett's armor was salvaged by Jawas and sold to Cobb Vanth, who used it to protect the Tatooine village of Mos Pelgo from various threats. In the episode, the armor is eventually obtained by the Mandalorian, whom Vanth relinquishes it to so that it can be returned to its rightful owners, the Mandalorian people. As he leaves with the armor, the Mandalorian is watched from the distance by a heavily scarred Fett. Fett's first full appearance in the series occurs in episode 14, The Tragedy, in which it's explained that he saved Fennec's life after she was mortally wounded, leaving her in his debt. Fett tells the Mandalorian that he is looking to retrieve his armor.
The armor was my father's. Now it's mine.
In exchange for his armor's safe return, Fett and Fennec ensure the safety of Grogu, an alien infant that the Mandalorian has adopted. When Moff Gideon's Imperial forces attack the group, Fett dons his old armor and kills the garrison of stormtroopers deployed to capture Grogu. Despite this, the child is ultimately taken by Gideon's Dark Troopers. Fett insists that he and Fennec shall remain indebted to the Mandalorian until Grogu is safe. Subsequently aiding in the Mandalorian's efforts to rescue the child, Fett creates a distraction that allows the rest of the crew to board Gideon's ship. After this, Fett flies into hyperspace and is not seen again until a post-credits scene in which he and Fennec return to Jabba's palace on Tatooine. There, Fett kills Bib Fortuna, who's been in charge of Jabba's palace since his death. Following this, Boba takes the throne with Fennec at his side. 2021 sees the return of the character in his own series, The Book of Boba Fett. Following on from the events of Season 2 of The Mandalorian, Boba Fett and Fennec Shand return to the sands of Tatooine to stake their claim to the territory once ruled by Jabba the Hutt and his crime syndicate. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified for our next video when we'll be covering the Scream franchise.